3 baskets of the Red Lobster biscuits.
100%. I can make a meal off those.
Y'all, there's no way y'all prefer Red Lobster's
But
cheddar.
can I
Yes.
also
There's
can I
no
also put in
way.
another contender?
Okay.
Are you going to mute me if I say no?
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and put you in another contender.
All right, here's my other contender.
Uh-huh.
I've got 2 contenders.
Okay.
And this one isn't really a carb, but it involves a carb to eat it.
Before you say the contenders, Nicholas, what do you think? Just between
Yeah,
those
Nick,
two.
weigh in on those 2.
The cheddar biscuits or the Red Lobster cheddar biscuits or the Olive Garden breadsticks?
The Red Lobster.
Thank you. Wait, Red Lobster.
Yep.
You want the cheddar biscuits?
Yep.
Why?
Because they're better. They
They're
taste
too
better.
much. They're way too much.
They taste better. They're
too
have a better
strong.
texture.
They're too strong, gang.
Too strong.
Nah, they taste good.
All right, go ahead and
They're
give me your other contenders.
All right, my second contender.
I wish we had a camera on y'all.
Well, it's
I
okay.
wish we had some breadsticks.
It has a carb to eat it, and it's George's crab dip. You have to
Okay,
use,
I'm with you
have
on
to use
that.
the pita bread to eat the
Oh,
crab.
that
but
is
here's
good.
the thing. Here's
That
the
is
thing.
very
The
good.
majority of listeners don't know what George's is. George's is a very local
That's a
restaurant.
local restaurant.
Well, y'all need to come to Oxford
North Carolina.
or Henderson, North Carolina, and eat some crab dip from George's. I don't care where you're from.
But if you're talking to the majority of the United States,
Right, I'm
which
saying
we
they need to
are,
get a plane-
which we are,
I'm saying they need to get a plane ticket and come
Okay,
here.
a realistic suggestion
realistic,
would be,
yeah, because they're not going. They have Olive Garden, they have Red Lobster. They're not
Right.
going to have a local George's.
what is your realistic suggestion?
So I don't have one, but my other contender.
I'm with you though. The George's crab dip is superior. It's the best.
It is good.
My other contender was I don't think this is local to North Carolina, but it's Golden Corral. Their yeast rolls.
David.
What?
David.
Are you serious right now?
Number one, those aren't yeast rolls. You talking about the big fluffy?
Yeah.
I don't think those were yeast rolls.
No, he's right. They are yeast rolls.
Okay, fine.
But no.
Ew.
Immediately no.
Yeah, those are not good. We don't know anybody who owns a Golden Corral,
Filth.
right?
I hope not.
Okay, yeah, no, they're gross.
Gross.
They're gross.
Absolutely not.
They're nothing but air. You're biting into a Britty bag of air.
All right, shoot.
No.
I can't believe
Cheddar Bay biscuits for the win.
Are they Cheddar Bay biscuits?
Yeah,
I thought they
Cheddar
were
Bay
just Cheddar
biscuits.
biscuits.
No, Cheddar Bay biscuits.
I can't believe those won out. I cannot believe it. I thought for
I can't believe
sure
that you thought the
the
breadsticks would
Olive
win out.
Garden breadsticks. Yeah, there's class to them. I don't want to go to some sea shanty biscuit, some like little.
There's class to the Olive Garden breadsticks.
Yeah, we're not going to the Olive Garden, Ma.
I've got to segue out of this because I'm getting angry
I've
over
got a
carbs.
coupon from the paper.
Oh, man. Well, with it being 2 days away from 2023, the last episode in 2022,
And this is how we end it.
on a fight about bread.
Yeah, and I'm offended.
So before that clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, we want to make sure that you enter the new year with a fresh determination for a new beginning. I know that's something that's been on your mind as you're headed toward 2023. Man, if I could just get to January 1st, I can get a new beginning. If I can just get to the start of the new year, I can start over. We're going to get Dr. Sean to talk more about that. But if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text at 252-582-5028 or visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We'll be back after this.
Hey there, listeners. My name is John,
And I'm David.
and we just want to take a second and talk to you about Dr. Sean Nicole's new book, 30 Days to a New Beginning, Daily Devotionals to Help You Move Forward.
No matter who you are or where you are in life, you're going to get stuck. You're going to have goals that you just can't seem to reach, and you're going to be looking for some new way to start over.
Unfortunately, life does not have a restart button, but here's the good news. God's mercy is new every day, right? And so that means every day is a new chance for you to start over.
Now, Dr. Shah and his wife, Nicole, have written a new 30-day devotional in their 30-day series designed to give you practical tools for starting over. No matter where you are in life's journey or what pitfalls you've encountered, this devotional is going to help you move forward, refocus your mind on God's truth, and meditate on His Word.
And you guys can pick up a copy right this second on Amazon.com.
Unless you're driving.
Yeah, don't shop and drive unless you're driving, in which case, wait till you get home. But we're going to leave a link for you right here in the description of this podcast. So it'll be waiting for you when you get home. That's 30 Days to a New Beginning, daily devotionals to help you move forward.
And for the remainder of November and all through December, we'll be sending a free copy to anyone who supports the podcast by visiting us online and donating to the show at clearviewtodayshow.com.
That is a very, very good incentive, gang. That's 30 Days to a New Beginning, daily devotions to help you move forward by Abadan and Nicole Shah. Thank you guys so much for listening. David, you want to jump back into the show?
Let's go.
All right.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, send us a text at 252-582-5028. Dr. Shah, welcome to the studio today. Can you believe that this is the last episode of 2022?
I know. This has been quite a year. It's been quite a year. A lot of ups and downs. But when you see life through God's perspective, all things do work together for good.
Amen.
To those who love God, those who are called according to his purpose. So do I have regrets? Yes. But overall, I know God will even take our messes and work them together for good.
That's right. And I love that you gave that verse, because that was our verse of the day just Tuesday.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I love
Awesome.
Romans 8:28. If you guys are unfamiliar with Dr. Shah's work, or if this is just your first time ever tuning into the show, Dr. Abadan Shah is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. You can follow his work on his website. That's abadanshah.com. And did you want to plug the social media before I
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we launch into today's topic, we had a very specific text message that came in through the number. Hey, Dr. Shah said something about Daniel lining up or predicting when Christ was going to be born. I'm curious about that timeline. I think this is Elizabeth A. from North Carolina.
Oh, very cool.
She was kind of worried, not worried, but curious about that timeline and how that sort of happened, I guess.
What I want to do is maybe can we dedicate one of the episodes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To talk about this, because it is one that will require some explanation and going through the numbers in the in the book of Daniel, and then kind of laying it out. We're talking about Daniel chapter 9 verse 20 talks about, now while I was speaking, praying, and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, on and on and on. And then it begins in verse 24. This is Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, on and on and on. And then in verse 25, this is Daniel 9:25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. And then, of course, talking about the tribulation period comes in there too. So what is required is for us to kind of walk through and put all these passages together.
I got you.
And it's quite amazing when you take all these into consideration, and when the Babylonian exile began, and when Cyrus the Great told them, go home, go back, and until the coming of Jesus, how amazingly it hits the same timeline as the birth of Jesus.
Amen. Maybe we'll dedicate an episode to that sometime in January.
Yes, I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for writing in, Liz.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll send you a message back through that same number, letting you know when that episode's coming up. So stay tuned for that. Dr. Shah, with today being only 2 days away from 2023, that's crazy to actually say out loud. We wanted to take some time today and talk about, your new book, 30 Days to a New Beginning, since we're getting ready to start our new beginning. If you haven't picked up your copy yet, what are you doing? We've told you multiple times.
Yeah, I've been talking to y'all to it blue in the mouth. Order the book.
Get the book.
Right? Don't be cute.
It would be cute if you ordered the book.
That's always a terrible feeling. My mom used to say that.
Don't be cute.
Don't be cute.
You can be cute, but do it while you're ordering the book. You can get it on Amazon. It's available as a paperback and as an ebook, and it'll be available as an audiobook very soon.
Very soon.
Very, very soon. Pick up a copy for you and for a loved one today. But it's all about new beginnings, all about moving forward, all about getting unstuck from where you are. And I think that's a great way to spend our last episode of 2022 just talking more about that idea of starting over.
Yeah. Well, this message that I preached back in December 28th, 2018.
That's it.
That's when I preached this message. But the first time I heard this message, believe it or not, this was going back to probably 1993 or 94.
Wow.
I was in probably 93. And it was my instructor in journalism, television broadcasting, Mr. Michael O'Brien.
Huh.
He's still around in Georgia somewhere. And he's talked about that. And I remember, you're in college and I'm like 18, 19 years of age, and I was just in my own little world. And he gave a fantastic message to the student body in the cafeteria of all
Wow.
places. Talked about circling this mountain, go forth. I'm like, wow, I needed that.
Yeah.
And it always stayed in my head. And then when God called me in the ministry, I'm like, yes, I remember that sermon. And then later on, who knew that? How many years has it been? 1993.
My wife was, it's 29. My wife was born in 1993.
So about 29 years later,
Yeah.
here's a devotional book.
Wow.
It's crazy how God manifests
Well,
people that bless you in that way.
Yeah.
It just comes out later in life.
I remember sitting there. Right now, I can visualize myself sitting there and seeing Mr. O'Brien over there talking,
that's
Huh.
and just powerful message he preached. He was quite a animated guy, and probably still is. But the point is, God's people, the children of Israel, were going in circles instead of moving forward. So in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 46, Moses says to them, so you remain in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you spend there. Chapter 2, verse 1, then we turned and journeyed into the wilderness of the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spoke to me, and we skirting, round we go.
Yeah. Where we stop, nobody knows.
we do. It'll be the same place.
Yeah, that's right.
We skirted Mount Seir for many days. And the Lord spoke to me saying, you have skirted this mountain long enough. Turn northward.
I love that. Just like, hey,
Stop.
enough.
It's like I was going to tell this in one of the intros, but my son, he likes to play video games, but he can't play so a lot. So he wants Mario, but Mario is a platformer. He's just going to die over and over again.
Yeah.
So I put on Luigi's Mansion for him. He just walks in circles.
Yeah.
He just has Luigi in one room walking in circles. I went and made like
Luigi.
a few sandwiches.
Yeah.
It must have been like 20 minutes. I came back. He's still just walking, loving it. Just loving it.
Having a great time.
Hasn't done anything in the game. Doesn't know what he's doing, but he just loves to just walk in circles in that game. Yeah.
Move forward.
Just like, can you go in the other room? Can you investigate, please? He's like, Dad, it's Luigi.
Can I temporarily get gross?
Yeah, please.
I mean, think about it. They have to use bathroom, right? All right. So if you read the book of Deuteronomy, God even gave them instructions on how to dig and bury and move forward. But
no.
here's the problem. If you're going in circles
Man,
around this mountain,
you're going
you're coming across the same old plumbing.
Yeah, you're going to dig up something you don't want to dig up.
You're going to run across some of those same burial sites.
Yes. Why not move forward? But when people get into that place where they can't think anymore, scared to death, they keep circling and digging up their old septic tanks.
And then get mad. And they get mad. Like that's something that I do. Like I'll make the same old mistakes that I've been making for years and years and years, just circling around, coming to the same place, and then get angry. Like I didn't know what was about to happen.
That's such a deep concept, though. Like it's funny, we're laughing about it, but think about the implications of that. Really, like you're just circling around, making the same mistakes, digging up your own mess,
And then try to pretend like it's someone else's,
Right.
or try to pretend like someone else made me do it when I've been making the same mistake, doing these same things,
Man.
not thinking the right way for like 10 plus years.
For no other reason, for septic tank purposes, please move forward.
Move forward, man. You don't want to be.
Can we go
be like,
somewhere
hey,
else?
hey, Kevin, hey, is this yours? No, you know it's yours.
Kevin.
You know that ain't.
There's the Kevin in here,
Yeah.
people. So that was the situation, and they just kept doing this, and God had to tell them, please move forward.
What was their reason? Was it just they were comfortable there, or
Yeah, God's glory is here, so let's stay here. This is as good as it gets. And the fact that they went round and round in it.
Mm.
Now, does that mean that they literally moved, that whole group kept moving around the mountain range? Maybe they did. Or maybe they were just surrounded the mountain.
Yeah.
and we'll
So-
just settle.
We just settle here.
When it was
Here's God. We stay here. What's wrong with this?
Yeah. When it was clear that God said, I have a land set aside for you.
Yeah.
I have somewhere I'm taking you. They're like, I think I'm just going to chill here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So without Christ in your life, you will keep circling or skirting the mountain.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us can look back on 2022. And if we're being honest with ourselves, we can see we have not accomplished what a lot of what God has wanted us to accomplish.
Right.
I can look at that and say, I feel like, or I know that God wanted me to accomplish so much more, but because of hesitancy or doubt or not thinking straight or whatever it is, I have 100% fallen short of that.
Well, that's such an old problem. I mean, the Israelites struggle with this, but we struggle with it kind of on an ongoing basis. We're like, this is where God is. I'm going to be right here. You know, we talk about all the time about we need to abide, we need to remain, we need to just stay where God is. And yes, that is true. You need to stay in God's presence. But could it be that God wants you to step forward in an act of obedience, trusting Him and being obedient to Him, and He's going to direct your steps?
Yeah.
I think so many times people get stuck on like, I don't know which direction to go, so I'm just going to not take a step forward until God makes it painfully obvious which way to go.
Clearview's a unique church in that way. Clearview's a very
absolutely.
unique church in that moving forward is a priority.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would counter that, and they would say, you never want to move forward just for the sake of moving
Make sure you're
forward.
not going without God.
Yeah, it's moving forward for forward's sake. That's what God said to do. Move forward. I'm with you. I'm leading you.
Yeah.
I'm taking you somewhere.
Yeah.
And some of this, the passage that I read for you guys was coming from Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 46. But keep in mind that even early on in verse 20, in other passages, I want to say, I'm trying to find the right reference. Verse 6, Deuteronomy 1:6, at Mount Horeb, their parents had done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a generational problem. This is the generation that came through the wilderness, but got stuck around Mount Sire. But earlier, their parents had been stuck at Mount Horeb, which is Mount Sinai. Can I read that passage?
Yeah, please.
Deuteronomy 1:6, the Lord our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, you have dwelt long enough at this mountain. Turn and take your journey and go. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and their descendants after them. So this had happened before, 40 years earlier, or 38 years earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and now it happened again.
Yeah. And I like what you said in that message too. You said that, God understands us. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows how much we can handle. Like the people that He was leading out, they weren't like soldiers. They weren't like warriors. These were like laborers and former slaves and like bricklayers and the children of those bricklayers. So it's not like God was sending them out to do some impossible, unreasonable task. He was with them the whole time because He understood that these were His people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them in time, when they left Israel, they left in certain military, formation.
Right.
So some of them had training, and Moses, they had Moses with them, for goodness sakes. The first generation had Moses, and the second generation too, because Moses was still alive.
Yeah.
And then he passes away. Moses was an accomplished warrior, a general in Pharaoh's army, groomed to be the next Pharaoh in charge.
Right.
And if you think about some of the accomplishments that took place around the same time that Moses was in Egypt, they give that credit to some of the Pharaoh, but it's really to Moses. He was the Napoleon of Egypt.
Wow.
And this is forgotten history. This is history covered up.
Right.
But nonetheless, they had an amazing leader.
Yeah.
And yet they didn't want to move forward.
We never think about Moses as a military man.
Yeah.
We always think about him as the scared, timid guy who can't speak in the wilderness saying, please send someone else. I never think about him as a military general.
Or old, like white-haired, long-beard Moses carrying the 10 Commandments out. Like I feel like you default to one of those two options, not young Moses who was able to conquer and lead forces and had that training.
Yeah. One of the things I like that you say in the New Beginning devotional, I can't remember which chapter you say it in, but there's one it's a very specific point, is that as you're going on this journey, God wants to go on the journey with you. It's not just that He's lighting a beacon and saying, follow, like just go there, go to the waypoint. God is on the journey with you. He's taking you, and what you can't handle, He's coming beside you to lift.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
we need
that.
to be going with God, not just chasing His presence that's further in front of us.
Right, exactly.
That's what being that pillar of smoke and pillar of fire was all about. Not only to keep those marauding tribes that were watching this massive multitude coming out of Egypt, but also to give you direction, to give you comfort, to give you a sense of God's presence.
Right.
And nonetheless, they were reluctant to follow.
Yeah.
Man, I think about the patience of God. I think about how patient He is with us, even in our fallings and our failings and our stalling and our hesitancy. God, who is immortal, has all the time in the world. He could take eternities to plan His moves or whatever, and yet we, who have such a passing life, sit back and just hesitate and try to plan and try to get things right in this very short amount of time that we have.
We've talked a little bit about why this happens, about why we get stuck in this pattern of a circle, like why we get stuck in this rut. But how can we, number one, identify that in our own lives? And number two, how can we make that effort to move forward?
Number one is we have to recognize that God's purpose for us is out there, is forward motion. I mean, think about many churches, they get stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
This is it. This is as good as it gets. Or there is some prior experience or revival that was the high point. No. God is doing something new now. There's a promised land in the future. Move forward. In your family, in your accomplishment, move forward. There are plenty of reasons to stay back, right? Things like, man, I messed up, or I don't deserve it, or you don't know what people have done to me. You don't know what family has done to me. You know, plenty of reasons to go, the mountain is good enough. I don't need the promised land. I don't deserve the promised land. But as a child of God, you have to follow and obey God and say, Lord, doesn't matter what I think. If the better is out there, then I'm going after that.
That's right.
That's this brief, short, one-time chance at life you've given to me, I'm not going to waste it circling this mountain.
Yeah.
When there's a land flowing with milk and honey out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing I've found in my personal life, one thing that always holds me back from being obedient, from moving forward, is I've got unconfessed sin in my life. I've got stuff that I'm holding on to, and I'm like, oh, how can I write a book on the goodness of God when I've got all this unconfessed sin? How can I write these songs praising who God is? So, as long as that sin stays in there and it's undealt with, of course, I'm not going to move forward.
Yeah.
I'm not going to grow spiritually because how can I?
You don't have that desire, that push that says, I want to be with God. It's kind of that.
I'm too busy covering all that up.
Right.
I'm too busy hiding it, or I'm too busy trying to justify it.
Yeah.
I can't move forward when I do stuff like that.
The key is to keep your eyes on God.
Right.
Clarify who God is and whether you know him.
That's right.
And if you know who God is, he's the God of promises. He's a God of the future. Of course, the past and present too, but he's a God of hope. So let's move forward. And great days are ahead.
Beautiful.
Great days ahead. We don't have to die in the wilderness. Just like the Bible says, their carcasses fell. Listen, those people went to heaven, but they never could get to see the promised land here. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I want to see what God has for us in the future and also in heaven.
Amen.
And God has some wonderful things in store for us. And I refuse to be bitter. I refuse to give in, give up. I refuse to blame people or blame myself or blame my circumstances or blame God. It's time to stop circling those mountains.
Amen.
And go forward.
That's right. I love that. If you enjoyed today's topic or have suggestions for future topics, let us know by sending us a text at 252-582-5028. You can also visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, and you can support us financially on the same website. Just click that button to donate. Every gift that you give goes not only to funding this radio show, but to building up countless other ministries for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's right. Ryan, I got a question to you.
Yeah.
This is coming in from Mark B. I just got this question this morning. What was your favorite band when you were in high school?
Favorite band?
Sasha, I'll actually open up that to you as well. Do you remember what bands you liked in
high school? Oh golly, there was so many I can't remember now. But in college, it was the 77s.
Oh, okay.
I do like the 77s.
Do you remember the 77s?
Wow.
Do you remember PFR? Pray for Rain. These are Christian bands, by the way, folks.
I don't know that one.
They have a great song. We got great songs. I mean, there's one PFR did called Goldie's Last Days.
Okay. Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, you got to go listen to that.
All right. What was your favorite band?
My favorite band in high school is it's a kind of, I guess,
serving historic downtown Oxford and surrounding areas, graphic design, branding and logo design packages, custom invitation design, screen printing, web design packages, and more. Wilkinson Creative Company's goal is to bring surrounding areas into the digital age of marketing and make local businesses thrive with our innovative design offerings. Visit wilkinsoncreativeco.com for more information and call today at 919-693-4622 to see your business grow.
Hey, we made it easy for you here on Nextdoor Radio and nextdoorradio.com. Available now by way of the Google and Apple Store is the Nextdoor Radio app. Anywhere you want to go, you can take Nextdoor with you. All the local talk programs, all local sports, and a great mix of 70s, 80s classic rock you can now take anywhere you want to go. Download the Nextdoor Radio app today. Available Google and Apple stores.
This is Louis Bowling with Looking Back into Granville County History. This is a letter written by John Harris of Granville County to his sister Betty during the Civil War. It shows vividly the horror of war. Betty, I frequently see it intimated in the letters I get from home that Mother is feeble and that she is declining. I should like to hear if she travels about the house and yard, or if she is laid up in the house or bed, or at least I should like to hear of the particulars for satisfaction. I wrote to Father a day or two after the battle, giving the news as to our position and of the battle at Fredericksburg. You can imagine the appearance of the dead on the ground, the screams of the wounded, which we could only hear after dark when the firing had ceased. You could easily walk on the dead without touching the ground, and in places reminded me of logs put in a heap, in a pile as they were shot down when they attempted to come up the street. I opened on them with 4 companies. Major Love says I am not afraid of bullets, but they whistled nearer than I wanted them, and one came near ruining my leg. My wound will soon be well. I have received my scarf, shoes, and boots. The box had been broken open and the brandy stolen. I was not suffering for the boots, as I had a first-rate pair of shoes. I love to Father, Mother, and the rest of you. Your brother, John L. Harris. And this is Louis Bowling with Looking Back into Granville County History.
The Smithsonian has arrived to Granville County. The Granville Museum is one of 6 host sites in North Carolina for Crossroads Change in Rural America. The Crossroads exhibit will be here from December 6th through January 19th. The museum is open Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For weekend hours and a list of programs, visit www.granvillemuseumnc.org. Crossroads Change in Rural America is part of Museum on Main Street, a collaboration between the Smithsonian Institution and North Carolina Humanities Councils nationwide. Support for Museum on Main Street has been provided by the United States Congress. Hey, are you ready for a change? Kittrell Job Corp Center provides free catering training that opens doors for low-income 16 to 24-year-olds. We can help you earn your high school diploma and learn the skills you need to level up your career. With our hands-on training in over 100 career areas, you'll gain real work experience while being surrounded by a supportive community. The best part is completely free. All housing, meals, medical, and dental care, and training gear are supplied at no cost to you. We provide everything you need to confidently begin your career. What are you waiting for? Get started today by visiting jobcourts.com or call 800-733-JOBS or 252-438-9106. It's time to take your next step in your career journey. Your future is what you make it. Job Corps, career begins here. It's time for local talk here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. And a good morning. Welcome to Local Talk here on Nextdoor Radio, nextdoorradio.com, and the Nextdoor Radio app. Ms. Kelly Siphon joins us here like she does every single Friday, beginning at 10:15, 10 o'clock. Depends on what we'll have going on that day. Again, my name is Trey Snyder. Phone number 919-618-9258 if you want to be a part of the program. 919-618-9258. Ms. Kelly, how are you today?
I am very well. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I appreciate you once again for coming into the radio station. If you're listening by way of our website at nextdoorradio.com, the app available by Google or Apple Store, or our social media video, we appreciate you for tuning in. Of course, Ms. Kelly is with the Applied Behavioral Happiness, and this is Behavioral 911. Before we kind of dive deep, again, let's talk about, do a little quick introduction of who you are and what you do with Applied Behavioral Happiness.
Absolutely. So I am Kelly Siphon. I'm the owner of Applied Behavioral Happiness, where we change behavior and protect the spirit. Help with everything from whining to big meltdowns and tantrums. I'll also help with behaviors associated around trauma and with fears and anxieties.
Fantastic. So we have been talking a little bit off air last couple weeks about you have started a new program.
Yes.
There at the farm. Of course, you were just this past week picking up a horse down in Maryland. So I'm glad you made it home safely there. But talk a little bit more about this project that you really kicked off and is full force, is ready to roll. Let's talk a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. So where I started in working with kids was in working with animal assisted therapy. So going, how do we take occupational therapy and add horses to create a context in which kids are willing to work on different skills? And there's a bunch of different examples of this in the world. I also was able to work with a number of psychologists and social workers, same sort of thing. And I knew that in the long run, I wanted to bring this element back, not because animals are magical and are going to teach you all sorts of different things, out of nowhere, but rather that the context of a farm, the context of working with animals, the context of being outside with plants, getting that fresh air can be a really good learning environment. And as we're going through learning really difficult skills, like, hey, sometimes things don't go our way. Having those natural examples to learn through is invaluable.
Fantastic. So what do you have on the farm? Of course, now I know you have two
Yes.
horses. I do know that.
Yes.
But talk a little bit more. And I've talked about a goat party for the longest time since I've known you. This is going back 2 years now.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit more. What do you have on the farm that really entice something like this?
So in all, we have about 30 acres with a number of trail systems and a large pond area with some really beautiful giant rocks. We've got a couple of small orchard areas as well as some garden areas. We've got a market garden going. We're talking about animals. We've got ducks, geese, rabbits, chickens, the 2 horses, goats, livestock guardian dogs, and a barn cat.
Wow. Got to have that.
Yes,
Gotta have
Cleopatra is very important. She's one of those cats that if you take your time and sit very still, she would love to say hello, but otherwise she will just run off, which again is a fantastic learning opportunity for I'd love to pet that cat, but if I want it too bad, if I chase it too hard, if I throw a fit about it, no chance. Not going to happen.
Fantastic. So kind of bringing back you mentioned in the beginning of this segment where you started with animals and kids, and that's what it was. Why is it so important to really have that conversation with a child regarding the animal, not only safety, but working with them hand in hand? How does that work?
So it's a really interesting place to learn about boundaries and consent. So when we're talking about working with another child, they may yell back at you. And then at that point, you understand that, hey, I may have crossed a boundary. You're not going to have that very much with an animal. So you need to start practicing and teaching and working through what are the nonverbal things that I'm going to be looking for. And that skill of looking for nonverbal communication can help us apply it to when we talk to people, help us apply it to those moments that are difficult in communicating with those around us. So we get a much more refined skill much more quickly and can apply it in really interesting ways very effectively.
Ms. Kelly Siphon joins us here by way of in studio, by way of our website, nextdoorradio.com, our mobile app available by Google and Apple Store, and of course, our social media video, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, a little bit of everything. So if there's something else that we need to be on, hey, let's do it. So what has been your favorite over the years of animal to really enhance that childlike kind of atmosphere?
That's a really good question.
There's a lot of different options there that you have. So
yes.
What's been your favorite so far?
Well, one of my favorites is, so one of the horses that I have, one that I've had for years, she was originally an adoption rescue where she was dumped on a piece of property and it took me about 5 years to get her signed over to me.
Wow.
And her name is Nancy. She's one of those horses where if you come in and you're really upset, she just wants to lean her head against you. She's got a really cool way of meeting you where you're at. So when I've brought kids in with her before and they've started to get a little bit scared, or 'cause she's huge, or a little bit upset about something else, she's just so gentle in her presence that we can talk about how she's using let's look at how she's using her calming energy. Like, what's she doing with her ears? Can we do that with our ears? What's she doing with her nose? Can we do that with our nose? And, it sounds a little bit funny to just explain it over the radio, but when you see it in person, you see that back and forth, that mirroring, and that really quick change between, holy smokes, this is a giant creature, I'm freaking out, to, we are affecting each other by using this nonverbal communication, and we can have a really good calming moment together where everybody brings it down to a place where we're comfortable.
I think it's time we bring this show on the road. I think
Absolutely.
we need to bring the camera. We could do it live on site. I would love that. And I love goats. So I don't want any of myself, but I want them to eat stuff at my, and by that,
Absolutely.
my overgrowth.
Yeah.
But again, Kelly Cyphers joins us here by way of in studio 109 Hillsborough Street. This is Local Talk. My name is Trey Snyder. Phone number 919-618-9258. If you missed this, you can go back to our website and listen back to it as well. So moving forward, what can they, for classes and programs, what do you offer there at the farm?
Absolutely. So I'm looking at offering a once a month workshop that'll have different age groups involved. Right now, I've got a plant specialist scheduled for this coming March. So looking at, hey, when we're going around on the farm and we're looking at the wild plants, which ones are edible, which ones are not, how do we identify those sorts of things? So more of a teens class. And then during the week, I've got offered 2 time slots each for teens, preteens, and kids.
Okay.
So working through into those small groups, probably 4, maybe 5 kids tops is where I'm going to cap those. If you are looking for something individual where you want it to be more of a one-on-one therapeutic setting rather than a group therapy setting, I've got that available as well. It's just we'll need to chit-chat about specific times.
Fantastic. So this is part of the program where we kind of give Applied Behavior Happiness a little bit love. Talk a little bit more about the what you offer with Applied Behavior Happiness.
Absolutely. So the method that I've put together, it really focuses on how do we take your values and put those into the plan that we have moving forward. So if your value is strong communication, if your value for your family is being able to have really difficult emotions without becoming super angry or violent or what have you, we take all those really big values and help you put those into the interventions that are going to turn challenging behavior into calm communication and confidence.
I absolutely love it. Well, how can our listeners get a hold of you? How can they contact you? Either Facebook, website, phone number? How do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So the best ways to get a hold of me are going to be the website, appliedbehavioralhappiness.com, or to call 984-235-1058.
Fantastic. Ms. Kelly, thank you so much for what you do,
Absolutely.
what you stand for. And thank you for joining us here on our Local Talk program every single week. Okay?
Always a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Again, my name is Trace. Now, this is Local Talk. Until next time, hey, we'll see you later.